Alright, so you heard a rumor. And somehow that makes it okay to assault me or to threaten me or to intimidate me, right? So that's why we have laws that are supposed to protect disabled people from exactly this kind of exploitation. Not just by law enforcement, not just by local government services, not just by our own friends and family, but also by media, social media. We have an uphill battle the entire way. Now this Lisa lady keeps coming over wanting to bully me over people harming me. I am a victim of long-term abuse. I have been beaten. I have been raped. I've been molested. I've been choked until I've been literally unconscious. The way the homeless are treated in this country is absolutely disgusting. But then we have a lot of people out here on the streets that are just real ugly inside, looking for any excuse to be cruel to anybody. It don't work. Now, there's a lady who came by today, and she's been by a few times. There's a gentleman, he asked me to watch his place and not let anybody in that doesn't have a key. And this lady wanted in even though she didn't have a key, and he'd expressly told me not to let her in. And then he wants me to let her in. Then there's John Stevens, who assaulted me twice in one morning. There's some of the evidence of that on my YouTube channel. You heard a rumor. Does that make it okay? So this Lisa lady, she wanted to bully me about a lot of things that I didn't do. And then she wanted to throw stuff in my face that apparently she'd heard from some other people. Like, hey lady, you hearing a rumor doesn't make it okay for you to come over here and bully me. And if you're going to come over here because you got some professional stuff to do, then do that professional stuff, please. I mean, that's very unprofessional, isn't it? Let's say you're a house painter, right? Or a bricklayer. You go to the house where you're supposed to be a bricklayer, and you notice somebody there. And of course, you want to start an argument with that person and be accusational with that person and say, I heard this and I heard that. Show me evidence. All right, I'll show you the evidence. Oh, no, I believe my friends. Well, see, that's the problem. It's never just one person that we got to deal with out here. We either take the abuse or we take it even more for speaking up, as you can see here in Tillamook. Same thing in Chapel, Nebraska. How dare we speak up? Truth be told, it's like that nationwide. How dare you be homeless? How dare you be homeless? And even homeless people feel very liberal about taking advantage of other homeless people. You know, you figure you've been out there long enough. You've been ripped off enough by people out here. It's your turn to get yours, you know? You're going to get yours. What does that really mean? I need to say that in two different ways. Meanwhile, none of this sentimental BS makes any difference. This lady's still a bully. She wants to talk about how she's going to get to the bottom of it. Not without looking at evidence, you ain't. Not refusing to hear one person's side of it. Not by making insinuations and attempting altercations. And this lady, well, she did that repeatedly. This is somebody else's place, as you probably can tell. And I'm trying to do things for this guy that I'm not able to do. And he was aware of that, but he wants me to do them anyway. What do I do? How do I remedy the situation? Meanwhile, he's not so much the problem. The problem is there's so many people that have so many expectations of me, and I don't have the resources. Meanwhile, I'm telling them, hey, I need resources to be able to do this. You want to see something that I have evidence of on the computer, and you want to give me 10,000 suggestions about how to go about doing it. When I'm here, I have to do this. When I'm over here, I have to do that. In order to get your help, I have to jump through these hoops and those hoops. I got to walk down and get you whatever it is that you want at whatever store. Like, I am not able to do all of these things for myself, and now I'm being forced to do these things in exchange for help. And I understand the concept of working. I understand the concept of contributing your part, but at the same time, I'm taking a lot of bullying from a lot of people who say things like, oh, it's just politics, or I don't care, or, you take care of all that yourself, or you just need to be a man. Why don't you just man up? We're men. Just let it go. Just let it go. Just let it go. The more abuse we take, the more we're told to just let it go, too. Nobody wants to hear it. Sean, nobody cares. Nobody wants to hear it. Well, thank you. I'm sick and tired of people telling me what they heard. You have the opportunity to hear from the horse's mouth and to look at actual evidence, and you're going to bully somebody over what you heard? It ain't about the truth. It's about popularity. What is popular opinion? Is it okay to harm an innocent man? Is it okay to bully an innocent man? Is it okay to threaten his life? How about his family's life? Is it okay to put your hands on an innocent man? Is it okay for you to assume a person's guilt because you heard a rumor? And then just because you heard it on the internet, does that make it true? With Natalie Bollinger, she was not my victim, I was hers, and her friends as well, because she was a drug addict. And y'all have no idea the kind of BS that goes along with that. But then again, I was homeless and I didn't have family help like a lot of y'all did. What I had is empty promises like a lot of the rest of you got. I grew up in the system being beaten and raped, and god damn it, I am the hero that I needed as a kid. A lot of people get pissed off that I tell the truth. They say, Sean, you're talking shit, you're talking shit. No, I'm saying it how it is, how it actually is. Not some fantasy that you have in your head because you heard a rumor. This is why I was asking for help before Natalie was killed. I was being harmed over people because of rumors. Rumors started by Maddie Boa. Because she was lied to by Alicia Bollinger. And to this day, I am harmed over the rumors started by Maddie Boa. My rights are denied outright, and nobody cares. They tell me, oh, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. Really, why don't you go tell the courts? There's a guy right now calls himself Donald Patterson, I believe. Claims he works for DSF in South Dakota or North Dakota, Fargo. I don't know the guy. Anyway, a lot of people want to pretend that me speaking up in public is talking shit. It's not. It's the only way that I'm able to get heard. And that's only if somebody wants to listen, because in real life, as long as I'm in a submissive environment, that means an environment that I have no control of or over. None of my stuff is safe. Somebody could get drunk or get screwed over on a medical payment and just need somebody to take their aggression out on, and you're out your evidence, you're out your place to stay, you're out your car, you're out whatever. And then everybody got all these ideas, don't they? This'll fix it, that'll fix it. And a lot of people do that from their financial level, from their physical ability level, from their access to the internet level or access to power outlets. This lady today wanted to come in and victim shame and victim blame, and then pull those nasty little idioms that you think fix everything. Many of you use these as excuses. Like, oh, if his own family doesn't care about him, why should we? Right? Thank goodness you didn't try using that one. But with all of the nasty people here in Tillamook that I've had to deal with, the nastiest thing I've had to deal with is the complacency of these people about it. These folks all want to talk about how corrupt the police are, but they don't speak up about the corruption. They just talk to each other about it. That's how it's done here. You run around and you start a rumor, and whoever's more popular wins the rumor mill. If a girl wants to take advantage of a disabled boy and take all of his money, well, that's okay. And the more popular she is, the more okay it is. And if he tries to speak up, well, what happens to him? All she got to do is start a rumor and people will hurt him. And what do you do when that rumor is on the internet? Now, mind you, this Lisa lady isn't a rumor on the internet. She's a very real person that I did very real interaction with today. I've been trying real hard to ignore her when she comes over with her snide comments. And the guy who runs the place here, when he's here, she's less likely to do that. But when he's gone, she wants to come over and beat on the door and boss at me. Tell me I need to leave the door locked, even though the guy who runs the place told me not to. And then she wants to leave for 2 hours or more and expect the door to remain unlocked the whole time. And I'm supposed to stay here and watch the place so that nothing gets stolen. Now, when you said there was only 2 people allowed in here and they both have keys, that was all right. When it became a guy who had assaulted me twice just last week, and this lady here coming in to bully me when he's not here, like, this stuff doesn't need to happen. This isn't helpful for me. And also, knowing the history with one of those folks and the bullying from the other, I'm not comfortable with either one. It's also a situation where I'm subject to another person's whims and wills and feels. And I'm aware of that everywhere I go. A lot of people, they are angry that they were recorded bullying me. And then afterwards, they want to pretend that they were just mad because they were recorded. No, that's not why you were mad. You didn't know you were being recorded when you were friggin' yelling at me and screaming at me in most occasions. Like when I'm trying to make a video on my phone, which is broken, by the way. I gotta pay someplace to fix it. My back is all screwed up, especially from the last few days of having to run around and do all of my stuff while it's quiet here. But then I come back and the whole place is unlocked and the doors are open, and I'm like, dude, I can't be responsible for a place like that, you know? Especially that guy, when I open the door and let it, because he does have a key, if he's going to come in and keep the whole place open, or come in after I've locked it up so that I can go get something to eat, and then I come back and he's nowhere to be seen and all the doors are open. That's an unsafe situation there, like wide open. Anyway, with this Lisa lady, she's been wanting me to leave it open, wide open, just for her to come in whenever she wants. And, he had expressly told me to just let the 2 people with keys in. And normally I just speak about the situation. I try not to use names, and I especially try not to use people's last names unless it's an emergency and they're harming people or their life is in immediate danger. Other than that, it's people who have given me permission, like John, for example. He gave me permission to record his first day. Same with the guy who owns this place here, or who runs it, I guess. I'm making a video because I'm overwhelmed by people doing this, by people coming and bullying me, by people thinking because they heard a rumor, because they read something on the internet. One of the things you'll notice about me and Natalie Bollinger is that we were not friends until she was an adult. Before that, she was instructed to stay away from me, and for good reason. She's not related to me. She's not my daughter. She's not my niece. She's not my sister. She's not my mom. She's very, very short. And not related to the homeless dude. So if she's a child, that can get people in a lot of trouble just because of public opinion. The assumption that that person must be a this or must be a that because they're hanging out with kids. No, kids are walking up to us and we're telling them to go away. It's not the same thing. Not by a long shot. The conversations between Natalie Bollinger and I show that she was well aware of the dynamic. That she was glad that I ran her off. The conversations with her sister showed the same thing. Now, I keep showing this on the internet because people in real life don't look. And then I tell people, hey, I posted it on the internet, and they still won't look. They got their excuse that they heard rumor this, or they heard rumor that, or I just got to fix this, or I just got to do that. I got to go do this with a bunch of vehicles. Oh, we'll get you a new vehicle and you'll have to come up with all this money to this and all this money to that. And I'm like, dude, I'm a disabled person, okay? All this running around doing errands for you for a favor that you're doing for me. Well, when it turns into 3 to 6 trips to the store every day, especially for somebody like me, that's literally a full-time job. And then I'm expected to be expedient. And by the time it gets around to me getting to work on any of my own stuff, I'm exhausted and my body doesn't want to work anymore. Right now, this is basically my lunch break. From going through all of my stuff, trying to find the paperwork that the courts need, paperwork that the cops want, paperwork that different people in different places want. Got to get it to the lawyers, got to get it to these people and those people. And that, of course, people here want to see this, and people over there want to see that. And I'm having to move this stuff with a screwed up back, and people having me just move it because they don't want to see it, and then complaining that it's unorganized. Well, look at the situation that I'm in. I don't exactly have the ability to organize all this stuff when I'm constantly having to find another place to move it to because the present environment's not a safe place. Obviously, staying in my car is not safe. People are putting rocks through the window. Obviously, my stuff is not going to be safe when there's people who are literal drug addicts who are able to have free reign of the place whenever they want, and there might not even be anybody here while there's a swift breeze going through the whole place. Like, man, this is like prison. Like I gotta just literally stay here 24 hours a day to make sure that people aren't unlocking the door and letting people have free reign of everything in here. I gotta be nice to a dude who assaulted me last week twice. And then, of course, I have to do what the person says wherever my stuff happens to be. When people say let it go, well, people are harming me over shit that's not true, and I've got the evidence that it's not true. And even when they're here in person, they won't look at it. They'd say they don't care. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. It's all bullying. I got my court paperwork. I try to get people to look at the evidence because the evidence shows that what's on my court paperwork is bullshit. That's what allows me to get a new court date in every single court date. is the evidence that people lied across the board. People lied to me. They misrepresented the situation. They lied to the courts, especially in the case of the police and the Bollingers. But who had the most to lose from that situation? The police and the Bollingers. God, my back is fucking killing me. There's a lot of these people that wanted to tell me when I first got here about their Christianity, their religion, their religious beliefs. I've been out on the streets long enough not to care what your religious beliefs are. I care how you treat other human beings. Talking about Jesus doesn't mean squat. When you're telling somebody about your Jesus one day and you're throwing rocks through their window another. When you go into church Sunday morning and bashing people's windows out Sunday evening, or screaming the N-word at them, or anti-gay slogans. I deal with a lot of hate. From people who heard a rumor. I'm always expected to be the one who's the adult. I'm always expected to be the one to keep the peace. It's unfortunate that the best thing that I can do for myself and for others in our safety is to record everything. And I hate that. I hate the fact that it's necessary, but I love the fact that it's possible. It's just not very possible for me in my present condition. Right now I'm taking a half an hour break and just sitting down and making a video because I need my back to not hurt like it is. I need to be able to finish up consolidating everything into the piles of what it actually is. Like I had to get all my electronics together in one pile, and then I had to get all of my chargers and cords and everything for my phones and other electronic gizmos. I had to pile them up in another pile. I did get my boxes out, so I was able to consolidate quite a bit. There's a lot more to consolidate too, though. I'm out of money to pay people to help me, and I'm out of money to fix my phone. I'm out of money to fix my car. I'm out of money to eat on. At least scratching my beard feels good. Anyway, I gotta clean up. It's kind of difficult, yesterday I swept the whole place in here and it's all covered in debris again from the door being open. And, it does present a safety issue for people's belongings. There's also a gentleman who spoke to me. He said for $300 a month, I can park like a 17-footer RV or a 14-footer, something like that. I'd be willing to do that. I just don't have enough to do it. especially not right now. And then there's all of these other expenses. And then, of course, with me having to jump through a bunch of medical hoops and all of that, I can't take care of myself. Whenever people add extra stuff onto me, like you need to move your stuff here, you need to move your stuff there. Oh, well, now you need to dig this out for me, and you need to dig that out for me, and then you have to format it in this specific way, and that's the only way we'll take it. Well, God damn it, stop. This is impossible. I understand if I was 20 years old and able-bodied, yeah, sure, fine. But I'm not 20 years old. I am not able-bodied. Uh, Snapping, crackling, and popping. People think any moment of any day that I'm sitting down, I'm just being lazy. Isn't that always how it is? Walking upright does help. I might try going down to the store and seeing if there's enough on my food stamp card to get anything. I'm glad to have it. I'm not glad for is all of the people who take advantage of me and my disabilities, my finances. And the people who exploit us the most, that would be all of these different services here in Tillamook County that they send us around to in habitual circles. It costs us time and money to go to TFCC. It costs us time and money to go to TCHC. It also costs the taxpayers money. So when you say it's a free service, you are lying to all of us. It costs us either bus fare or gas fare, especially if we have mobility issues. We might need to hire somebody to help us carry stuff if you're demanding certain things that are heavy. My evidence certainly is heavy. I've got 15 bags full of it. Anyway, I'm hoping we can find a way to end the violence. But I'm tired of getting bullied. And I'm tired of people pretending that what they're doing isn't bullying. You want to come up on me and demand that I give you a specific piece of paper, handwritten just for you. But then once I get you that piece of paper, you tell me, oh no, I don't need to see that. I believe you. Anyway, I'm in this video. I think my back is working well enough for me to hopefully get some more work done. I finally got all my papers consolidated in one place so I can go through them, and found a few important ones already. Got some of the stuff I need for the courts. I just wish that people could be more humane and more understanding instead of demanding. Instead of assuming my abilities and demanding that I fulfill their obligations for somebody who's 20 years old and able-bodied. You know, I wish people would understand that I'm not 20, I'm not able-bodied. And the efforts that I make are more superhuman than you think when it comes to what I'm having to deal with. Walking, just walking is excruciating. And I have to talk nicely to people, try to smile, maybe even make a joke or two. What I'm not interested in is people yelling at me and berating me and saying, you need to do this and you need to do that. And want it done like I have this magic ability to just snap my fingers and make it happen. When I was 20, if I needed to carry something, I just carried it. It was that easy. It didn't cost me a dime. It didn't cost me any time whatsoever except the time it took to pick it up and lift it. But now, with my back screwed up, if there's anything substantial that needs lifted, I need to either be able to partition it, or in the case of my car, where I can't partition it down into stuff that's sizable enough for me to carry, I have to hire people to help. Or if people want expedience, then I have to hire people to help. It cost me over $100 to move my stuff repeatedly over a 4-day period, out to helping hands and back, and hiring people to help carry it. Yeah, over $100. That's over 10% of my money for being disabled. Over 10% of my money for the month. $800 is what I get. And there's a lot of people who want to use the fact that I'm getting disability money to try to insinuate that I'm much better off because I have disability. No, all of my disability money gets spent before I ever get it. I am expected to jump through court hoops and jump through physical hoops and jump through mental health hoops and jump through the financial burdens of trying to get a place, to find a place, to get the first month's rent and the last month's rent and all of the stuff that my disability money, the back pay for my disability money was supposed to be for. Guess what it went to instead? My very first back payment for disability went to Kenneth Wilson and Leah Plunkett. That's where the majority of it was spent. To people who were taking advantage of me because they could. The money was there. To them, they don't see that as my livelihood. They see that as their disposable income. And then they wanted to preach at me about how they have to worry about the roof over their heads. They have to worry about the food in their bellies. Well, I'm spending my food stamps so that they got food. I'm picking up food at the food bank so that they got food. I'm paying them extra money on top of the rent that I'm already paying them so that they can have a roof over their head. And then because I'm disabled, at that point in time, I had to pay Kenneth Wilson to take me grocery shopping. I could pay for it. I just couldn't load it up into the vehicle. I still have the same problem to this day. There's also a lot of people that they want to bully and berate me, but they don't want to be recorded doing it. Well, then don't bully and berate me. If you want to bully and berate me for recording, well, keep in mind that there's a reason that I record. Do I record because I'm assaulted, or am I assaulted because I record? Kind of like which came first, chicken or the egg thing, right? No, it's not the same thing. I'm a human being, and where it all started is easy to show. The problem is having to go back over and over and over again, showing everybody brand new. Hey, this is how it started. These are the conversations between me and Natalie at the beginning. This is the stuff that people are claiming about me and Natalie, and this is the stuff that you can see is obviously bullshit. The bullying by Andrew Wolnez and Chris Stafford didn't need to happen. None of this bullying needs to happen. And most people are not accepting of a male who's been abused to the point that he can't function. And that's what it really comes down to. Like, I am so razzled and frazzled after what that lady did this morning. That's not okay. Like, that's paramount to trying to start a fist fight with somebody in a man's world, just so you know. The things that she was doing, she was just trying to antagonize. I don't know what crawled up her craw, but it wasn't my business. And when she started telling me all of her personal business, that's not my business either. When people want to tell me their personal business as their excuse to be shitty to me, you don't get to decide whether or not I'm going to record situations when you're around me, because I already know how you are when you're around me, and I'm not having it. You don't get to talk over me and bully me and be accusational and then not allow me to defend myself. If you're not going to allow me to defend myself, I'll just go away. When you're stuck in a subservient situation, though, like, say, for example, in Alvarado, in order to stay there, because I had my evidence there, and because it is important, I had to, number one, follow by her rules. That's not so much of a problem, except they kept on changing. But I also had to deal with Shannon herself, and that turned into what was actually the major problem there. Shannon Alvarado getting drunk, getting accusational, getting mean. Now, I'm not accusing everybody who's being mean of being an alcoholic, because I know that's not the case. I know plenty of people who are mean that never touch a drop, myself being one of them. But why am I mean? Well, that lady who was in here, I don't think that she would like it if someone came in to the place that she's at, that she's told to keep safe, that she's told is a safe place for her. Yeah, I don't think that she would like it if she went to that place and people treated her the way that she treated me today. I don't believe that she would in any way, shape, or form find that okay. I don't think that she would enjoy that in the least bit. Being talked over and disrespected because somebody else heard a rumor. Being bullied and antagonized because somebody else heard a rumor. Being accused of doing things you didn't do because somebody heard a rumor. And then there's the stuff that you want. And then there's the other rumors you heard and the stuff that they want and the stuff that everybody else wants. Well, come on now. I'm only one person. And whether you want to acknowledge my disabilities, whether you want to acknowledge them or not, they still exist. I did try to get her to look at just one piece of paper. I should probably go grab it. It's from Marcia Estrada. And she stated outright that I am not delusional or schizophrenic, which is what the courts believe when you call somebody mentally ill. There's a reason that if you're in a dysfunctional family, you've got a bunch of people yelling at each other things like, you're mentally ill, you're mentally ill, you need to go to an institution, you need to be locked up, you're a nut, you're mentally ill. And I've seen it with many families. With a lot of people, they trust you to be there, and when they have their own internal struggles within their family, you're kind of I guess, a placekeeper, so to say, or maybe like a fixture. because they don't really notice that you're there unless they want to ask you. Like a parent, for example, yelling at their kids. You're a friend of the parent, but right now they're disciplining their kids. And for the most part, you're not a part of that interaction. You're just an observer unless the parent asks you a question that they feel is related. Like when your kid comes home carrying a shovel, or comes home in the back seat of a police car because he was walking down to the pool with a shovel. There's just certain situations that are volatile like that do happen. That was a situation where a guy I knew named Donnie, this is before he became an adult and had a bunch of kids. There was a girl he had a crush on at the pool, and some guy was flirting with her, so he went down and got a shovel and was going to go smack this guy over the head with it. That ain't right. And apparently this guy is in the same class, same grade. It's not like it was some creepy old fucker. But then there's also those of us who grew up on the streets and in the system. Those of us who didn't get completely hardened by it. Those of us with a soft spot for others. We're victims of this crap in our own right. We have been through this our entire lives. We've had to endure this from countless predators over and over and over again. And before you say, oh, don't call them predators, look at what they're doing and look at the type of predation there is. When I call somebody a predator, that doesn't necessarily mean a sexual predator. There's also physical assaults. There's also financial abuse. That's a tough one. When you know that nobody's going to listen to the victim, you have no problems with ripping them off, and that is a major issue. And then when it's somebody who's intelligent and articulated, dangerous criminal, now he's a horrible person because he up about being treated like he was a retard. Now he's a horrible person because he spoke up about being talked down to like a dog. Some people do it nicely, some people do it mean. But the fact is, they still do it. All right, I'm going to end this video. I think my back is all right enough for me to go down and get some ramen noodles. It's about a 3-block walk there and a 3-block walk back. And when I get back, I'll probably have to sit down for a good half hour, 45 minutes before I can stand up again. I got most of my stuff cleared out of here. As far as the stuff I had to go through and organize, I've got all my papers in one place together. Once I've gone through all the papers, I'm going to be taking them out of one box and putting them into another. That way I have them separated between the ones that I've seen and the ones I haven't. And I think there's like 11 different pieces of paper that are wanted for various people that want to look at them. That if I can show them that particular specific piece of paper, they'll stop being dickheads to me. Like, yeah, sure you will. I hope so. People hear a rumor like that. We get to see how the United States is really run. It's run by mob law, people power, democratia. That's what every government is run on: people power. Whether it's a small majority or a large minority. There are different socioeconomic issues that go along with that. Like you can have a 10% minority dominating over a 90% majority just because that minority happens to have a whole lot of really, really nice weapons and backing. And this is all politics. This is politics. In small towns here, we got the same politics. You want to say, hey, I'm the good guy, this guy's the bad guy. The other guy's saying the same thing, though, isn't he? In reality, I got to deal with a bunch of people who are just straight up bullies that then want to pretend like they're white knights pretending to fucking protect the neighborhood. I don't see how assaulting innocent people is protecting the neighborhood. I don't see how destroying people's property is protecting the neighborhood. I can understand under very, very specific situations having to break things to get heard. I can understand that completely. But here's the thing with that. Are you going and doing it just because you want to be a vengeful, hateful person? Are you doing it because you got recorded bullying an innocent man and posted on YouTube? Don't get me wrong, I have broken things. I have committed property damage on more than one occasion. And in every single one of those occasions, a human life was in immediate danger. When I put my elbow into one of the electric screens there that they had at the Louisville hospital, it's because it was the only option I had left to try to get heard. And lives were in immediate danger. Anybody who looked at the evidence at the time would have agreed. When I smashed my window, very specifically my front window, at Low Income in Chapel, Nebraska, there were very specifically 3 lives at stake, mine being one of them. Wasn't just mine, though. It was also my loved ones. When I threatened Ted Bollinger back, that was after 3 different situations where members of his family who told me that they were scared of Ted Bollinger harming them or retaliating against them had harmful situations happen. Natalie ended up with a bullet in her head. Danica ended up on a disappearance spree. And Rochelle Shelley Campbell called me up with a pocket dial, and it definitely sounded like she was being choked out. Now, all 3 of those situations, very real situations. The improper response by police is the most fucked up part of that. The fact that Rochelle Shelley Campbell and a lot of other people were allowed to have unrestricted access to me. And we all had to try to rely on internet web sleuth nut jobs like Kara Johnson Miles. When I try to get a protection order against these people, I'm sent around in circles. Nobody knows what the proper way of doing it is, apparently. But if you're a woman who pretends that people might do the things that people have actually been doing to me, they'll not only help you to fill out the paperwork for that protection order, they'll make sure the other person isn't allowed to show up. The more poor they are, the more likely that is to happen. And when you've got somebody who's forced to act like they're predators in order to get help, that's right. Had to break one of my own windows because people's lives were at stake. See, it wasn't just words. It was also physical actions, physical assaults. And the situations with Christopher Kurth, he got multiple people involved in his threats, harassment, and intimidation. And he did so across multiple jurisdictions. Alright, you know how we end these videos. Good to be rid of you. Thank you for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and your sister's keeper too. And no victim left behind.